Hi everybody. Welcome to Underdog, the Service Dog. I'm Quinn. Rocky, come here. Come here. And this lovely beast right here is my service dog, Roxy. I call her Rocky because when we got her, I did not choose the name. So Rocky was the name we went with. But really, her name is Roxy. She knows when she's in trouble because that's the name I call her. Either or, that's what everybody calls her. Mine all started about a year ago. I had got diagnosed with PTSD, GADS, and PTS, GAGs, and major depression sort of. And because of the way because of the way my mental disabilities affect me, they affect me physically. So she's also trained for light mobility, and so she does guide work. Sometimes, like, I barely ever use her for bracing. I'm not supposed to, but sometimes you just can't get out of bed. I'm just going to admit it. Sometimes it's hard. And she's there, and she'll help me up, and that's about it. And it's once in a blue moon. But we do a lot of guide work, and I just got her guide handle, so it's awesome. We started about a year ago, and I started having these symptoms to this, and I started looking into it. And first, I had gotten her, and she was just going to be a really well-trained ESA. And I had went through all the steps that everybody else went through, thinking that an ESA, I understood they didn't have service rights or public access rights, just didn't understand what the difference was exactly. And then I started doing my research, and then I joined the Facebook group, and then I started watching Pause and Love. Shout out. It's my favorite channel. I love NJ and Hero and Seth and their new best friend Arlo, who, their friend had given them because he was having problems with him and he just got sick. So he's more just he's a pet now. So one of my favorite channels. I listen to them a lot of the time. I haven't been able to focus on any other videos lately just because I've been too busy. And I thought, well, you know what? They have a service dog channel. Why don't I have a service dog channel? And so we went through this whole scheme of getting the dog and getting it trained as they're talking to my doctors, my pediatrician, my psychologist, and all this fun stuff. They had seen symptoms. They had given me medication. The medication didn't work. I'd been on medication for a couple months. It just did not go well for me. So it came to the point as of I started doing a little bit of research, and I noticed that they had service dogs, and I knew they had, because a lot of veterans have service dogs for PTSD and stuff like that. Well, I noticed that, wow, now would be the time. If I did want to ever do that, would be the time now, because, people are starting to actually understand what service dogs are used for, and they're not looking at people people are starting to understand that PTSD isn't just caused by war-related. I can't even think of the word. Sorry. This is also another one of my delays because of some of the stuff that I went through. I get a stutter sometimes. Certain words don't come to mind really quickly like they used to. When I'm nervous, I stutter really bad, to the point where it's like I'll say the same word, or I say, if you know Drew Lynch and you know how he stutters and how he can sing, and it's like, he's an amazing guy. Love Drew Lynch. He's one of my favorite. And he service dog vlogs. So if you guys haven't talked to him or watched any of his videos, he is a comedian with a service dog. He had an accident where I guess he got hit in the head with baseball, is what I remember listening to from one of his videos. So he's got a stutter because of a head injury, and his service dog name is Stella. Giving them credit, because they're another reason why I started my channel. I love them. I can't wait. I'm hoping to maybe go to one of their next comedy shows. I just haven't been able to figure out what their dates are right now yet. But I started watching them, and I subscribe. I don't think I've subscribed. I just kind of okay, I did eventually, but I was just kind of catching their videos because YouTube brings up that common interest feed. And the reason I'm really doing a live stream for my first video is because it makes it easier, because I actually think somebody's listening instead of trying to talk to a camera. It doesn't work that way for me very well. If I do the live stream, then I know that I'm doing it. It's going to get done. And it's going to be posted. So it came to, as you can see, I kind of wander all over the place as part of my mental. I do have dyslexia, and to be honest, I think I have somewhat of a mental delay if I'm not focused correctly, and I should be on one topic, and I'm all over the place like I am now. So bear with me. Um, so yeah, I went through and we went through all this trouble with all these meds and all the fun stuff and all the different traumatic experiences, and I don't get flashbacks like that most veterans do. It's not really. I get more nightmares, and I get the panic attacks, and I get the anxiety attacks, and I kind of get that from GADS too. So it kind of like interforms, and I've got, like I said, major severe depression disorder, that. So most days I can't get out of bed, or I'm not motivated enough to get out of bed, so I sleep a lot, or I have really bad insomnia because of my nightmares. And lately they've been bad, but they weren't as bad until recently. Like they'd be every other day, and then sometimes I'd get a break and I'd be fine, and then they'd come back. And then they put me, and then my doctor finally got me in to see a med. It was like a psychologist, and below that is like a med person that you're supposed to talk to, and then they help you go to a therapist. It's like 3 different branches. She works under one doctor, and this doctor is a CNA that works under that doctor, and then this one's a CNA for therapy under that doctor. It's like same doctor, 2 different doctors, 2 different nurses or doctors underneath that one, so it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. My mom probably does it better than I do. But she's a CNA glorified psychologist, medication nurse, and she's awesome. And she didn't really have a bunch of info, but I had already got my pediatrician on board with having Roxy. The problem was he couldn't really legally write. He could legally write my letter, but he didn't really know how to write my letter. Even though I showed him several times, he could write an ESA letter, and I'm like, just change ESA to SD, and then let me verify it and change a couple words here and there, then we have the letter I need. But legally, my doctor's office would not let him do it. So we ended up going to the psychologist that my friend, and when I started school, I met a girl who has she's blind, I think, in one eye, or she's has very impaired vision. I think that's the word for it. And her eyes, one goes like this way and the other one goes that way, so she can't really, she like has a hard time seeing, and her, like, if she can see, she has to use like a magnifier to read her books and do her math and stuff. And I had to have, and part of the reason why all this stuff happened to me is I dropped out of school for this, and then I started going to school down at my Lincoln Center for my HiSET, which is my high school equivalency GED basically. And I met her, and she gave me a contact through her basically her psychologist, and she was supposed to be a really good psychologist, and she's supposed to have worked with me, but she wouldn't take me because of, Trump's new law, and they could only take so many, take so many patients, or basically Medicaid patients, period, because she was full. But at the time, see, I wasn't even on Medicaid. Medicaid was my secondary insurance. She wouldn't touch me. So we went through like almost 2 months waiting on her for that, and then they finally got back to us on it. And then after my pediatrician did a lot of research on Roxy and how she helps me and does all that stuff for me, and he finally gets me to a doctor called Dr. Nichols. And since you guys don't really know where I'm based out of, I'm not going to worry about these names because they're pretty common. Dr. Nichols, and then underneath him is his CNA, and the CNA is the one I was supposed to go see. And I went to see her after almost 3 or 4 more months of waiting for them to verify my paperwork because my state sucks. And eventually I will get to in closing all that for you guys and stuff like that. But other than that, it's really sucky here. I don't really know how to explain it. Kind of weird, but once I got in to see her, Roxy came with me because, like I said, I was basically already approved. I was there to get my doctor's letter, and I was going to state my purpose of why I was there, and she was going to see my dog in action. I was very nervous that day. I was in and out delusions, trying not to worry about it, but it's kind of hard when you had to go walk across the hall, get this sign, that sign, and then you had to walk back across the hall to go see the doctor, and the doctor call you back, and you go back and get blood pressure and all that fun stuff. And then they make you come out, and then a minute later, as soon as you get all your stuff back on, here she is, like, okay, well, you can come back now. And I'm like, okay. So me, my mom, and my dog go back, and we're here for almost 2 hours. And she totally is on board with Roxy. She writes my letter. I finally have most of the stuff I need to get her into school. Like, she had already had her vet records, but when I got her from the lady when she was 1, she was being trained as his service dog. Basically, he was her ESA. So I know she had the ability because she had been like an autism dog for him almost, but just didn't really have proper training. And when I first got her, she was very timid. She was very shy. And you would think most dogs don't have success rates when they have those symptoms of temperament. She had the right temperament. I showed she did, but it was the first time I had met her, so I was giving her a break. And she was meant to be a pet. That's all she was meant to be. Like I said, she's meant to be an ESA. And then I got lucky that she was perfect temperament to become a service dog. And we started training right away. It started out with just out of the blue. I'm going to be honest, I really didn't know the laws. I kind of was like, okay, well, if I put in training tags on her. I kind of looked up SIDT laws in my state, and in Montana, there you go, released it for you guys. In Montana, they allow SIDTs. And I did like several hours at home at a time just practicing. And it started out with, I looked up service dog or how to train your dog like a service dog. I didn't really want to like take her anywhere. I just thought it'd be cool to actually have the dog trained like a service dog. Service dogs are awesome and they have phenomenal training. And then I came across a video that shows you how to teach medical like anxiety itch alert. But see, I didn't really have that. Sometimes I do that, but most of the time I tap my fingers against my pants, or I shake my leg, or my hand shakes, or my leg just bounces. You know what I mean? So she really has to be paying attention, because sometimes I don't make sounds. She does pick up on a lot of sound most of the time, but that's not really how it works. So after that, we finally got started, and does it tell you how long you've been I don't know. No, it doesn't tell you how long you've been broadcasting. It was worth a try. But so we did all that fun stuff, and we get everything up, and you know what I mean. And I noticed that she picks up on it right away. And I mean, when I had first gotten her, I taught her how to shake in like 20 minutes. And I mean, that's like record time for me. Like, I had a lab that was like, he was a boy, and I'm going to tell you one thing, he's smart, but he's dumber than rocks sometimes. And trying to teach that dog how to use a paw or give it or shake, I say high five. That's our command for it, you know. People are like, why high five? And I was like, because it's a high five. You know, she's got 5 digits. Why not? And it's more my generation anyway. So, you know, so I noticed that she got on that really well. And she had basic obedience down. And she basically taught herself these because she'd watch other dogs do it. And as you guys know, dogs learn from one another by watching and doing, and kind of like picking up on their like mentality, how they do it. So she had already basically learned these. They just really need to be driven, set in stone. So we would sit there, and I sat there for almost a good 45 minutes, and she was just enjoying it. And almost 45 minutes for an hour, just for like 7 to 10 days of just sit, lay down, stay, heel, all the basics. I mean, she learned so fast. It was amazing, you know. And then once I knew that she had the down, we started at like just our local, you know, it's like our local grocery store, which probably wasn't the best place to start. But for her first time, I needed to see, I wasn't really sure where to start at the time. I was going into this blind-eyed. I didn't know where to go for information and stuff like that. Like I said, I didn't find the Facebook group until later on. And then, so we started out with that, and she started doing really well. And I had gotten her first harness, which was supposed to be her harness. And yeah, it was supposed to look like a service dog harness, but it was just because, like I said, I wanted to model my dog off of it, but I wasn't planning on taking my dog anywhere at the time. I didn't even know I was going to get into this until I started looking at it, and I started training her the right way. And we went through almost, you know, we get to almost like 3-4 months training. Then we finally got our first time in public access. We didn't have much of an issue. You know, I mean, she was doing pretty well. She does take some new environments really quickly, and we did some really good building confidence and just walking down and just seeing how she would do in public, period. But I needed to see how she was going to do so that I could work on it. And, you know, I know most grocery stores are not the best place to start with a dog. You want to start with pet friendly, all the way to go. But my thing with pet friendly was I wasn't able to see how she would react normally around people, because I'm going to be honest, in Montana, you don't see a lot of service dogs. If you do, they're at colleges, going to school students, or, I mean, at my school, we have 3 service dogs. You got Roxy, And then you got a bunting dog. I'm not going to give out these names because they're personal, and the people that I don't have consent to. And you have two black labs. One that is, I guess they can't release personal information, but like I'm saying, I'm not giving consent. But like I said, I got my friend who had given me that card for hers, and I had talked to her, and she has her seeing eye doctor. She went to New York and got hit. But hers is a black English lab, and then so is the other one. He's supposed, I guess, he kind of because she said 6 months training, and I'm guessing 6 months training is kind of like where Roxy was at when she first started her tasks. So I'm guessing probably the same stuff Roxy's good at, And I mean, we did a good full year, and then we waited until she was 2 to start mobility training, and then as soon as she turned 2, I was on it. Vet, got her hips checked and x-rayed and all that fun stuff. After I had found the group, I got all that information, did her math for my height and weight and stuff like that, and she's 30% of my body weight and my height, so she can do some tasks, but she can't do others. But she does what she needs to do, and she's pretty good at her job. She's awesome. I'm just impressed at how far she's come from first day we got her to now, and she's gained some weight, which is what she needed to do. And see, when we first got her, she was really skinny and bones, and her owners took really good care of her. I just don't think they fed her enough. And she does get spoiled and gets human food sometimes. My mom, her grandma, that's what we call her. So go see grandma, my mom, and this is basically my mom's grandchild. My mom is that's my grandchild right there. And when it comes time, because I'm probably going to need a bigger dog, because I'm only, only 17, so I'm not done fully growing, and my weight shifts a lot, so I get scared sometimes, and I don't use it for certain tasks until my weight goes back down. But I give myself a 5 to 7 pounds ratio of where my weight can be fixed at, because she also fluctuates just because of sometimes we go through spells of it's winter here, and there's 3 feet snow from buildup and just what's already falling still. So you got almost 5 feet snow, period, if you get to the point where you're not plowing anything. And you know what I mean? So she goes through periods where she's a little bit heavier because you can't get out and run a dog in this weather. It's cold. In fact, they didn't even wait to hear. They noticed that they said that the weather was supposed to drop here and go into negative degrees. So all the schools in Montana got snow day except Laurel. And that's just a local school, and since we're in Billings, and they're 15 minutes away. In fact, within 10 to 15 years, Laurel is basically going to be part of Billings. That's what they say anyways. But I'm not going to be here that long, so I didn't really want to come here in the first place. But I got stuck, and parents, they make you move. So you get used to it. This is where I was born, so we came back, and we thought, oh, family this, family that. So we came back, and it just didn't turn out right. But we're doing okay. We're surviving, thriving, you know what I mean? We're surviving. We're not really thriving. I'm trying to thrive. It's just a little bit hard. But we started out training, and she was doing awesome, and she started to learn her tasks, and like I said, and then eventually I took the training tags off and put on SD tags, because within 6 to 7 months, 8 months almost after she hit 2 years, a couple months after she hit, 2 months before she hit 2 years since having her, a year since having her, and her hitting, because her birthday was basically when we first got her, we just decided, because they said her birthday was near my birthday. It's kind of hard to explain. She was born in the month of November, and I was born November 25th, so we just made it very clear that her birthday is my birthday, so we don't get this mixed up and trying to say, oh, she's a year and a half, we don't know her original birthday. So, you know what I mean? By the time it became my birthday, she was 2. So that's what we just did, and, because it was near the end of the month of anyways, because I was born November 25th, 2000. So 17 years old, it sucks. It's 18, and everybody's turning 18, when you're millennium. It sucks to have your birthday at the end of the year. Oh, baby. She's so tired. She's sitting here listening to me talk about her, and she's like, oh, stop. So we get her trained and everything, and she's doing awesome, and I got her first vest. Then I got her first vest was your normal one that you buy offline. It's that, the one that's got the Velcro, and it's the 2 straps on the side. A lot of people still use it. I'm not a big fan of those vests, to be honest, after I started looking at what you could actually get your dog nowadays. Then I got her a tackle vest, and I absolutely loved her tackle vest, but The cool thing about a tackle vest is I learned kind of, because I was really good with like taking stuff apart and sewing and stuff like that. And I just got a sewing machine like no less than a month ago, and I'm in love with it. But I started doing like add-ons to my vest. Like I did like pull strap, which is like, I don't want to reveal her gear just yet because I wanted to show you guys that in like a separate video. So I just want to show you like this, like a pull strap. And to add the pull strap, you have to add D-rings, which are like, I'm just gonna see if I can sneak this in there without showing you guys the whole thing. This little thing right here that you like, on your dog's collar that you attach their leash to. That thing, and then it hooks onto there. Well, this is a different harness, but I had attached 2 big D-rings, and I used hot glue to attach them. And believe it or not, it worked. It was a lot easier than trying to sew because the tackle material is really tough, and if you don't have a sewing machine, you really can't get through it because it's basically, you know what I mean? It was like right in the middle between Velcro and all that stuff, so I glued it on, and it lasted quite a long time. I had to repair it maybe one time, and I mean, the repairs were kind of nice to have because sometimes it's just nice to be able to repair something and know if you repair it, it's just going to keep, you know what I mean? If you have to keep repairing it after a couple months, it's not really a big deal. It's a pretty cheap fix. I mean, a dab of hot glue, put a little pressure on it, and you're good for another couple of months for her to be able to do her pull strap, and this was hand sewn and then purple, and you can see like, I don't know if you can see it, but the purple string it was loop stitch and it's starting to come off. So I had to go back and do, I know you can see, yeah, so you can lightly see the black lines. I had to go back and sew that just a little bit ago when I got her new vest. And we used a tackle for quite a while. We used a tackle vest for quite a while, but it was only like a half one, so it didn't go all the way down to her butt like some of them do. And it had like a handle and stuff on it, but the handle was too low, so I did the pull strap. And the pull strap is kind of like what I use for momentum pull and guide work, basically. And it was because I liked her closer at my side by then, but then I noticed that the pull strap wasn't really, I mean, we knew how to communicate it, and believe it or not, my dog is weird, and I'm pretty nonverbal sometimes. Like, you'll hear me call out commands, and people look at me like I'm weird, so I'll be like, okay, and I'll like, and she'll like turn left, and she'll turn right. And I might have them mixed up. I just kind of like do it. She kind of just reads my body language really well, so I don't know how it works. She does know left and right, but I get the two mixed up so much that it's easier for me to just click because it keeps her. I know a lot of people think like clicking is bad because it's like, well, if you think about it, a lot of people clicker train, but a lot of people like click and then, they do that, or they go to try to get a dog to come near them or a cat to come near them and stuff like that. So in a way, I'm kind of using that to my own advantage. And she's really good about, lately, she's been really off certain, because like today at school, because we're only at school for like an hour and 15 minutes, because we actually, like I said, we went through a lot to get her in school and all, and go through that whole process, because it's just fun. So we're doing this whole fun thing here, and we're sitting here taking in all this stuff, and it just gets to the point where, you know what I mean, she like, people will like, she's laying down and she's like totally fine, and when she's laying down, I kind of allow her to like let her eyes wander because she's like not really doing much, and I'm sitting down, and like I said, most of the time she's like right next to me, so I either have something on that jingles so she hears it, so she'll turn her head right around and she'll look at you, and then if she's trying to alert you, she'll let you know you're not doing the right thing, you need to stop that, she'll alert you. I mean, when it comes to my dog, when we first started out, we were using paws, and then it gets to the point where, like right now, I'm scratching I don't know, I started scratching lately, and I don't know if it's because I just see everybody else do it, but it's really dry here, so my skin starts itching, and I think I'm going to teach her how to, because that was how I learned it, except I used foot tapping when I first taught her. I think I'm going to have to teach her that one now, too, because I think, like, I'm already starting to scratch my hands, like, it's like, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to tell you, it's like red, and it's like in one area, and like I'm itching now. I get allergic to stuff, and sometimes it's hard to get to somewhere you can just wash your hands. I hope everybody knows that. But when you touch something that like, yeah, I'm allergic to a bunch of different stuff. They couldn't pinpoint it because, allergy testing is expensive, and they did a panel of 10, and it didn't really bring up much. All it brought up was pollen, bees, dust, and that stuff. And I was allergic to bees when I was younger, but I outgrew it now. But I'm still terrified of bees and yellow jackets and stuff like that. I freak out. I mean, I'm like, it was like, well, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. And I'm like, yeah, but they're flying near me, and they have a stinger in their butt. And I really don't know if I'm going to get stung and react the way I think I'm going to react. So I'm going to freak out if I want to. And I mean, like, I try to stay calm, but I don't like them. I get really uncomfortable around them. They drive me nuts. But I scratch my palms. I guess I'm starting to do that. I'm scratching the back of my hands really bad, so I might have to work on that with her because now that I'm starting to do that, I'm gonna have to make that another alert. And when it comes to my hands, I've taught her to kind of like, she can. I let her use what she likes to use to alert. She like can alert. She can nudge, and then if it gets really bad and she's nudging and stuff like that, she'll start kind of like nipping to pull you. Like she won't like bite you hard, but like how like a puppy like plays. Like she'll like mouth at your hand to try to tell you like, hey, you need to stop. You're not supposed to be doing that. You know this. Come on, pay attention to me. Let me do my job, type thing. And she did that today at school because we had a tornado drill. And like I said, anxiety and crowd anxiety and social anxiety are all part of the same anxiety term for me. So we get down there, and I thought, oh, because there was only 56 students, but I didn't know there was like more than that in my school today. So my school is really small, but turns out it's a lot bigger than I thought it would. So we get in there, and they make us go down. They don't even tell us what the drill is for. They just say, staff and students, please evacuate to the basement to your safe spot. They don't even tell you where the basement's at. You just follow everybody. And so we're all following straight line. Everybody's going down the stairs, and there's a kid with a wheelchair and stuff. So he's like really cool. I mean, he's like really cool. He's got good music. And I wasn't really sure. And I think most of the time I can use the stairs with her. But when it comes to getting back up the stairs with that many people, I think I'm gonna like talk to my counselor about that, because I think it's more dangerous for her to try to get up the stairs with so many people pushing me and pushing her. And I mean, they try to give you as much space as they can, but there's just too many people. So I think the elevator probably would have been the best way to go with that, because then that way she's not getting crowded or getting pushed up and down the stairs. I mean, she's a big enough dog that people see her and they know they can see her, I mean, but it's just not fair because it's hard to get up and down the stairs when you have mobility issues. So, I mean, especially with a guide handle, thank God I did have my pull strap today, because we started with the guide handle going down, and the guide handle going downstairs is really easy, but going upstairs is a little bit harder. And I mean, I had to have that point where I had to have like really like I just had to free weight, just put all my weight on that handle. I put all my weight on this handle right here today, and she like pulled me up the stairs, and but it was only like for the 3 or 4 stairs, and thank God, like, you know what I mean. And people had wet feet, so poor thing, she was like trying not to make her slip, and I'm trying to lean forward, but I'm having a hard time leaning forward because every time I lean forward, I get pushed backwards. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm trying to lean like this, but there's somebody on the side of me who nudges me or pushes me backwards. So I'm trying not to break my dog, and they're trying to break me. They're not trying to break me, but they end up breaking me anyway. So thank God we got out of there safely. And there's so many people, and I mean, and she started nipping at my hands when we were sitting down there. And I had a math class where I had a friend, and she kind of has the same thing with me. I don't even think she really noticed it. She goes, it makes me nervous. She goes, makes me anxious. And her teeth start, because I know how she feels, but like, whereas my shakes are mostly in my feet and my hands. Sometimes it's very limited times I get full body shakes or tremors, but she gets it in her face, like you can tell, like, cause her teeth, like, you like breathe, like if you've ever blown up like one of those, like, I don't know how to explain it, like one of those air mattresses for a pool. After a while from breathing through your teeth and putting all that pressure from your mouth into that thing, into the blowy thing, your teeth kind of like shake. It's kind of like that, or you're shivering, but it's like kind of, but the breathing more because it's like a light sensation shake. And you could tell she's kind of nervous, but she handled it really well. I was really proud of her, because like, I can tell she was nervous, and I could tell she was anxious, and she was having anxiety about it because there's a lot of people and it was a small room, and there wasn't enough room in the room. So then people were piling out in the hallway. So we had over 100 people trying to file downstairs, and they could have opened another music room, but they didn't. So we were all piling down they were all piling. Thank God I was one of the first ones down there, because the basement was like right down the hall from me. But people that were coming from upstairs and the other side of the school, because there's only one entrance to the basement apparently. Don't know why, but there is. So they're all coming around from the other side of the school, and they're coming downstairs, and they're just sitting in the hallway waiting for the drill to end. And where it could have only been like 10, 15, where it could only been like 5 to 10 minutes for everybody to get down there, they made us wait for almost 20 minutes. And then by the time that was done, my class had ended, so it was time for me to go home. And my mom was waiting outside for me, thank God. I was like, okay, well, where's mom at? She's like, oh, I was like, she's already here. Awesome. So, like, they came and picked me up. And it was like, I was in class for most of the time, and then it was like that. And I was like, okay, so I have a dog nipping at me, and it looks really weird, and people are staring at me, and my dog is trying to alert me, and then my dog goes full out DTP on my lap, and then I have my teacher at my back saying, Quinn, are you okay? Is she okay? And I'm like, she's fine. I said, she's just tasking. I said, she's actively tasking. And I kind of don't know exactly how. I don't know, they don't do much research, but like my reading teacher is really good about, she like understands that Roxy's an alert dog, and she kind of just treats Roxy like she's not even there, which is kind of nice, and then kind of not okay, because a lot of the staff, I think they need to have a meeting with, because a lot of the staff doesn't experience them on a normal basis, so they sit there and stare at them and they go, oh, what a pretty girl you are, which I don't mind, but like I'm also like, my counselor, or basically my principal, not my like principal, but she basically has rules over me and can punish me and stuff like that, is sitting there watching me, and I'm like, there's not really much I can do. I mean, they're not petting her. That's the only rule that you told me, and they're just not to distract her. Well, I can't keep them from distracting her if they don't know the rules themselves. I could say, oh, please don't distract her, but it's kind of hard when you're sitting in a room full of people and you're the only dog in the room and people are like all eyes on you, including her counselor. So I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna answer their questions. She's like, well, what breed is she? I'm like, the Overbred German Shepherd, and I mean, really nice people. And then after Roxy actively gets done tasking, after 3 or 4 minutes of DTP, I finally start to calm down, because I didn't know most people in there. If I'm sitting around a bunch of people I know, it's a different scenario. Scenario, you guys, that's a new word. Situation and scenario. That's what I'm gonna call it now. That's my word. Don't take it. Scenario. But I get to that point, and you know what I mean. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And so Roxy gets done tasking, and then she like, okay, lays down. And I tell her to lay down, and then she just sprawls out on the floor. I'm like, Roxy, you're not supposed to do that, because we're in a choir room, so you gotta imagine a bunch of people walking around. And she was okay for a while, and I was like, oh my lord, could not get her to move for a couple minutes there. And I was trying to leave her alone because I knew she had just got done tasking and she was tired, so you know what I mean? Because you can only stand on your hind legs for a dog for so many minutes. It's not really fair for her to have done that in the chair. I would have loved to just sat on the floor, but I really couldn't move because so many people were in the way. So I had her actively tasking me, and I had people asking me questions while she's tasking, and I'm sitting there trying to pet my dog and calm down, and I had people over, you know what I mean? So I'm probably going to get talked about that tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, probably Wednesday when I go in. And I'm probably going to go in Thursday just because I want to go in Thursday. You know what I mean? I don't have to. But I didn't want to miss school tomorrow. I actually was quite enjoying myself lately because now that I have her, Roxy, I'm in a lot more stable environment than I was. So it worked out really well. And we had a really good day. And I mean, she did really well considering. And like on her first day, I didn't really bring her a blanket or anything like that. But I put her a blanket today, and she did really well. And when we first came into school, she apparently had to go to the bathroom, so she's sitting there whining. And I never had her whine to go to the bathroom. So when she did whine, and my counselor was like, well, maybe she's got to go to the bathroom. I was like, maybe you're right. So I took that as when she whines, my counselor thinks she has to go to the bathroom. So I left it at that. I mean, I love my counselor, but I'm also very, I like to try to make sure Roxy's on her best behavior around her because she makes me very uncomfortable with Roxy being around. There's times where she's really cool, and there's times where she, looks at you like, you shouldn't have that dog, and I'm like, that's not fair. You're basically discriminating. She doesn't want to, I know she's not trying to discriminate, but I just don't think it's fair to put all the pressure on me because the other service dogs in my school, if they're not an alert dog, they kind of get the easy access of where they're allowed to be petted and stuff like that. And basically, nobody's allowed to pet my dog. Nobody's supposed to even notice my dog's there, which to a point I think is fair. But then I think because the guide dog is a guide dog, but the guide dog's never really in a harness, and if he is in harness, it's because she walked a little ways. But most of the time, she just shows up with him on a leash, and which I totally is. You're right. You have the right to not have to vest your dog. But I was thinking, if he's your guide dog, you probably should put him in a guide handle, even if you know your way around the school and you can somewhat see where you're going. It's just so he looks like he should be doing what he's doing. And if something were to happen and you needed him to guide you somewhere, he has his guide harness on him. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not just on a normal leash thinking he's on a walk. When he comes into school, he's kind of, she knows how to get him to do his thing, and she treats, I mean, he's been there for a while, so he kind of treats it like it's his home, so he kind of just lays down and walks around where he wants to walk around. When she tells him to downstay, he stays in downstay. He's just kind of a little bit more relaxed, where I'm Roxy's fully vested every day she works when we go. Is uncomfortable as sometimes she has to deal with it because she's to look professional and act professional at all times in school buildings because I don't want anybody, messing with her. I don't need anybody giving me a bad time about her. I already get enough bad time from people outside a normal high school to compare it to what I do now, you know. So everybody kind of like just leaves her alone. I'm glad they do because I don't really like people touching my dog. So I'm okay. Like there's days where I'm like, oh my god, I wish I could just let people pet her and let her have a good day and just be kind of like that glorified service dog that gets pet a lot, like Casey. But no, like Casey, my dog from home or whatever. But the wine dog gets petted a lot. So where he's a seeing dog, you know what I mean? That's kind of different because she's an alert dog. She can get distracted if somebody were to pet her and she missed an alert. I could have a full-out panic attack, and I understand my safety, but then there's times where I'm like, if I know I'm okay and I know when something is on setting, I will tell people to leave her alone. But I don't think it's fair. I think if they ask permission, they should be able to pet if I say yes or no. It really shouldn't be on the terms of the school. You know what I mean? But I follow the rules because I need her, you know? And today was like our second day, and she was doing great. But, I guess that's really my story, you guys. And we went 3 years of training, and she's doing awesome. And I'll tell you some of her tasks. DTP is deep pressure therapy, and because she's a bigger, she could do LTP. A lot of people get these two mixed up. LTP is light pressure therapy, which means they kind of like, if my arm were hurting and I had a little dog, like they could put pressure on certain nerves. That's LTP. DTP is deep pressure therapy. It means you had to have like at least a 35-pound dog, or something that weighs more than that, for a reason, because of the way it affects the body. My dog is almost, she weighed 50 pounds when she got her fix, and since then she probably weighs around 55 to 60, just because, like I said, during the winter her weight fluctuates because of the exercise she gets. She either is able to run some days, or she goes days without getting out, which sucks. She still is able to get out and go to work, but she's not able to get out and like run off leash and stuff like that. And like today, it was to the point, even though it was negative degree, it wasn't negative degree weather, but it was wind chill, like really bad wind chill. I had to get her out of here because we had school today, and I had to think about if I wanted her to be hyperactive in class, or if I wanted her to behave and act like a normal service dog. And I was thinking that's not fair. I slept all day yesterday because I had a nightmare. Even when I hold off sleep, I finally just get to the point where I'm so sleep deprived that I finally just go to sleep, and I have nightmares anyways. So I have nightmares, and Roxy, she does her best. I deep to sleep for her to try to wake me up. So she lays by my feet, and then she kind of just waits for me to wake up. And when I do wake up, she does her deep pressure therapy, and she helps me get out of it and start thinking normally again and stuff like that. But, yeah, that's basically it. And you know what I mean? Because I sleep so deep because I don't get enough sleep, that when I sleep, I'm out. I'm like drunk out. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm drunk, but that's just it. And they had me on medication for it. I probably should be taking it, but I haven't been able to take it lately just because the medication they gave me for it is a blood pressure medication that they discovered for PTSD when the vets started coming home from Vietnam, that, stopped their nightmares. And it works okay sometimes, but I guess I already have normally okay to low blood sugar. So then when I take that, I either have to eat, I would have to take, for that medication to fully work without giving me the symptoms, I'd have to take like a salt pill, start my day off with a Coke or some kind of sugar, and then drink plenty of water. Oh my god, she's streaming and she's touching her leg. I wish I could show you guys, but I'm on my laptop and I really don't want to move it. But that's basically it. And I'm going to get off and I'll do another video on her gear because that's a separate topic. Thank you guys for meeting me, and I hope you enjoy this. Sorry for this super long video.